Hey, what's going on, everybody? You're listening to the SANE Show, the show about nothing and everything. I'm your host, Cliff. Today, I have on with us R&B artist Jazmen Safina joining us. How you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good, enjoying this Cali weather.
Hey, I gotta say, I wish I was there. I'm gonna get out there soon though, because I'm trying to get a piece of that weather as well.
It's
um,
so nice out here, man.
Good, good. I'm happy to hear that. So I want to go ahead, shout out the fans real quick. Thank you for everybody, coming back to join us here on the same show. Everybody in all, now 24 countries last time I checked. So shout out to
Ooh.
all you guys, listening and continuing to support the same show. Be sure if you haven't done so already to check us out and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at the same underscore show. That's SANE _ show. And then you can find us on Facebook, the same show. So today we're going to talk about the new wave of female R&B artists. I'm really excited about that, and I'll wait to get into that one. And then we're going to talk about finding inspiration. So, I'm a creative, Jasmine's a creative, so we're pretty much going to be giving you guys our opinions as far as finding inspiration and give you guys a little bit of insight to, our process as far as finding inspiration for the content that we put out. Then, followed by that, we're going to have an interview with Jasmine so you guys can learn a little bit about her, what she has going on. And she's also got a surprise for the listeners. So I'm excited about that as well. So let's go ahead and hop right into it. You know, New wave of female R&B artists. And, kind of like I mentioned to you before the recording, a lot of people, the individuals dominating the conversation right now, SZA, her, Ella May, but there's a lot of other uh, female R&B artists a part of this new wave. I would put you on that wave as well. But,
Thank you,
uh,
thank you.
I really think that you guys are redefining R&B and not I'm not going to say like, changing it up drastically or anything, but just bringing new flavor and taking and just staying true to the genre and making great music because I'm sure you heard a lot of the conversation lately when comes to R&B. Everybody's talking about the guys, especially Jacquees earlier this year talking about king of
Are they
R&B.
though? Are they really talking about the guys when it comes to R&B? Really
Not
though?
now. It just
Do
seems, I
you?
guess, me being a guy, it feels like they're dominating the conversation. But
That's drama. That's not music. That's drama.
I agree. I agree. I feel like when it comes to the women, like they've really been killing it. Especially, I know last summer, like was just what Ella May and with her songs that she had. I
Mhm.
cannot think of them off the top of my head, but I just remember like I was vibing to that. Summer 18
She had a
was a
really good
killer.
summer.
Yeah, yeah. And then on top of that, the festivals and they're killing it. And prior to this conversation, I was doing some research. I'm just interested to learn more about everybody. And one of the things that I noticed, even with the ones that I haven't mentioned, is that everyone cited Lauryn Hill as
Mm.
influence. And I guess is she one of the people artists that influenced you as well?
She definitely was a huge influence for me. Lauryn Hill is just dope because, not only was she a singer, but she was a rapper too, a dope ass rapper. She had
Right.
super duper bars,
Yeah.
an amazing lyricist with an amazing voice. And that's,
Hmm.
why, she wasn't is such an inspiration. You put up there Lauryn Hill, Erica Badu, that whole just movement of where R&B and hip hop kind of they stood like hand in hand. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Hmm.
That I feel like that was the time for that. I kind of feel like it's that feeling's coming back, but it's just a little bit different. I don't know. Music changes.
Yeah, I
It
agree. I definitely think it's coming back, and I don't want to make this about Laura Hill, but just looking at some of these articles that I looked at, it was about the impact that she's had on the genre, especially like everybody was talking, or everything you read talks about the Miseducation of Lauryn Hill. That was like, I guess, groundbreaking. And just talking about, like you said, her and that group of women and other artists that were part of that group during that time, taking and bringing all these different elements into the genre, and then also, like they say, like she helped pioneer lyricism
Mhm.
into hip hop. And I'm reading this and I'm just like, wow, that's very true. And I agree with you. Like, I feel like a lot of that stuff is coming back now, and we're starting to see all these different elements within everybody's music. Like, I even hear some of it in your music. I was listening to Homesick, and
Mhm.
I hear some of these things, and I don't want to ruin it for the listeners yet. Even with some other music that I listen to by you, that I was hearing some of that Lauryn Hill stuff, just like getting those vibes. So I think it's really cool to see that in music now, and that's why I feel like when it comes to the women, like they're holding true to what it actually is. You feel me?
I mean, yeah, it's it's hard being a black woman out here.
Hmm. Yeah,
Like
yeah, you're right.
for real. And music is just, another one of those zones where it's male dominated.
Hmm.
And to be a woman in the game, you gotta be better. You gotta be better all the way around, and then you gotta be cute on top of it. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's hard. Women just have to come harder when we do
Hmm.
this shit. Like, it's either you come across the girls that are super duper sexy, and they're lackluster when it comes to content, but their looks might carry them over the top. And
Hmm.
then you have the women that put the work in, that have the lyrical content, that have the team making it possible for them, as far as like production and all of that. And then they look good, they're sexy on top of that. And then they have to be good role models for the young, you know what I mean? It's just like
Right.
there are so many double standards just put on women and artists that are women. It's ridiculous. So it's like, for Lauren to come, she's not an artist that was hypersexualized. She was a
Right.
natural, beautiful woman. She was speaking some real stuff in
Hmm.
her songs, and she was still sexy. You know what I mean? Like she
Hmm.
she did it all, and it's definitely, why wouldn't you have that as a blueprint as an artist? You know,
Right. I
You-
definitely agree. I
why
do.
not?
I do. And honestly, because obviously I'm a guy, and I recognize that those things you're saying, as far as like the struggle that women, especially black women, have to experience being in the industry. So when I see women come across like Lauryn Hill and some of these other artists that have come through and defied the odds, or better yet, gone against the grain
Hmm.
and staying true to themselves and not getting caught up in all that, like I respect that, because I know one of the things for me is always trying to understand those who are, for lack of a better term, at a disadvantage compared to men. So, and like trying to be more understanding and be more respectful of those women that come into the game and that try to, stay true to themselves and still have that same, if not higher level of success, not only to their other women, but their male counterparts that are doing the same thing. So yeah,
Hmm.
I mean, I'm all for it, because then I'm like, yo, do you do, but as long as you make dope music or whatever, then it's all good at the end of the day. And I know one of the things I also thought about, when looking into this topic, because, yeah, a lot of people cited Lauryn Hill, but then I just thought about it. I even like Googled a list of like, female R&B artists, and it's so easy for people to forget like their history, I guess. Because
Yeah.
I'm a big believer in paying homage. And that song, I cannot think of the name, but it go like, what more could I say? I wouldn't be here today if the old school didn't pave the way. So I'm thinking about that song, and but when I looked up all the female R&B artists, Beyonce, Janet Jackson, Lauryn Hill, going back to Anita Baker,
Mm.
like Diana Ross, like all these people, and I'm just like, wow, like just to, and for me, it's always cool to see where things began and to see where they are today.
Yeah.
And I sometimes think about like, because I love when they do those concerts or
Hmm.
even records where you got like an old school person, and then you may got somebody like, you got people from different generations of music all on a track, just doing something. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
I just
that
like
it's
that stuff.
supposed to be love like that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's supposed to be like that. It's supposed to be, the people for us, they're supposed to be teachers and,
Hmm.
welcome these new artists with open arms and show them the way, show them the right way to do it. We can learn from their mistakes, but it really ain't a lot of that out here. People are scared to tell anyone new in because they're worried that they might lose their spot. But it's like,
Yeah.
instead of trying to be a gatekeeper, why don't you let some new people in and be known as the one, giving shine to all this talent. Be
Right.
known as a teacher to these artists, as a known mentor, as somebody that lifted and guided these people up. It's a lot of jealousy going around, and it's not cute.
Right. I agree.
And it's discouraging. I talk about it a lot with my friends. Well, not a lot, but I talk about it with my friends how I'm kind of hesitant to meet some of my idols. I'm not in a rush to meet some of those women that inspired me to write and to sing because it's like, they might not accept me. And then,
Right.
I don't want to deal with it.
Right. I hear you. I
I,
hear
I,
you.
I'd almost just rather just love them from afar and
Hmm.
and let them inspire me from afar because we're all
Yeah.
just human beings out here. I wish there was more camaraderie on
Yeah.
both ends.
I'm with you on that one because I think the thing for me that's cool. It's like so dope when you see someone who's a legend, who's been idolized and has influenced so many people, and then you see that they pass the torch to somebody else that
Right.
that
Beautiful.
becomes just as successful, and that's the coolest thing because I don't think people really see it from like a fan perspective when it's like, yo, he was dope. Now this person here that he's helped put in this position is dope too. Like
Hmm.
that's cool. And honestly, like thinking just from a psychological perspective, one of the things they talk about is called the Flynn effect. Just the idea that the next generation is smarter or somehow better than the previous generation. And I mean, in a sense, that's how it's supposed to be because you've learned from them. They give you the tools. You have, if we're talking music wise, like we have more at our disposal now than they did in the past. So naturally, we might be able to do some things that they weren't able to do.
Right.
So yeah, but again, this with this new wave female R&B artists, I think it's really dope, and all of you guys are, in my opinion, killing it and putting out great music. So, and then again, and remaining true to the genre. So it's just for me exciting to be here to witness that and be like, yo, this right here, I rock with these artists right here. Okay, so want to go ahead and talk about the next topic, finding inspiration. And I was just thinking about this. It's funny because I'll probably I'll get into in a little bit how I came up with this topic, but I was just thinking like, okay, finding inspiration, and I figured it wouldn't be no one better to have a conversation with than another creative because you're writing music, I'm a
Hmm.
podcaster, and I have to come up with content for all my recordings, and so do you. And one of the things that I think about sometimes, or I actually thought about when putting together this episode was, what that process, what goes into it, and how does everybody do it? So before we like dive into it, like I want to ask you, I guess, what does it look like for you? Like, how do you find your inspiration? Like, what does that mean to you to find your inspiration as a musician and a songwriter?
That's that's like such a loaded question because there's not like one pure answer for that. You know what I mean? Like there's
Right.
not like a I can't give you like a step by step process on how I write a song because every time it's different.
Yeah.
I pull inspiration from all different types of things. It could be as simple as just being in a new place. I can pick up inspiration from other music that I hear, people that I meet, stories that they tell me. It could be as simple as just like something that I'm eating, like the song Green Tea. That was lit. I wrote that in 15 minutes. I'm chilling with my homies and I was sitting on the couch like, wow, I'm thirsty. And my boyfriend brought in a can of green tea and it made me so happy. And I
Was it an
wrote,
Arizona green tea?
it was an Arizona green tea. And and he walked in with the green tea as I was sitting there like, oh my God, I'm so thirsty. He just walked in with the green tea and I just wrote the song. Like, and that was that. It was done in 15
Word.
minutes, like that, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
then like tracks off of Homesick, I'm in LA. I'm 3,000 miles away from my family and everything that's familiar to me. I'm super sad, you
Hmm.
know. A lot of those songs are, just literally just pages out of my diary. I was going through a breakup out here all by myself, like just dealing with that. A lot of that was just me writing in my diary while music was playing
Wow.
and then just structuring it into a song. As of lately, I got a bunch of producer homies, we'll be hanging out. They'll be like, "Oh, I made some tracks that you might like, Jazz." And then I just turn my voice memos on and I just record whatever melody pops into my head when they're playing the music. And I go back later and I add the words. Like every time it's different. Like I could be
Okay.
walking down the street and just a line pop in my head and I write it down in my notebook and then I go back to it months later and write a song. It's just, I don't know. I think it's more about how I feel when I'm creating, what actually inspires me to create. You know what I mean? Because I might be inspired one day and not decide to act on it for another like 2 weeks. I gotta,
Right.
I gotta feel, I have to feel safe. I have to feel, I guess this is my answer right here. I have to feel safe
Yeah.
and safe enough to be open to any truths that might go down while I'm writing or while I'm recording because writing for me is such like an honest process. It's some it's really like my real true feelings. Sometimes I'm not ready to deal with certain things and I'm not ready to write about it. I gotta process it myself. How you can't talk about certain things. You gotta
Right.
like you get to that point where you're finally like, oh my God, I can talk about this without crying or
Trust me, I
without
know
wanting to
all too
punch the
well.
wall. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's the same thing. Like
Hmm.
I could, want to write about something and then just like seeing those words on the paper, I'll just start crying. And I'm like, I can't deal with this right now. And
Wow.
I'll just wait. But because it's something that really happened, it was something, I'll just kind of put that memory in my bank or whatever, and I'll come back to it later. Kind of like a writing prompt.
Yeah.
I'll come back to it later.
Interesting to like draft
Yeah,
it up kind of thing.
yeah, yeah.
I feel you.
Like, we'll put a pin on that so I'm ready to deal with it.
I
Mhm.
feel you.
Not ready to
It,
not ready to deal with these truths yet.
you made me think about something
Yeah.
when you were talking about, you might be walking, the line might pop in your mind, you're popping your head. And, it's like, it's the same thing for me. But that made me think about something else. So, because like my cousin, he's a producer. And I know at the time he was working on, is trying to cook up something to present to like Maroon 5's
Mm.
team. I literally had a dream that like he made this really dope song, and I called him, and I'm sitting here trying to like remember the melody, but it's just like it's just crazy. Like you get these ideas because I'm thinking like, okay, him, Maroon 5, and this. I'm like, he made this. Had a dream. He made this really dope song for them, and eventually I forgot it, and I and I was kicking myself for it. I'm like, dude, you might have had a number 1 hit, but it's just me just talking out of my mind. So, but it's so funny you talk about like how you were saying in the beginning how there's not really like a step by step because it's different for everybody, and When
Right.
I was looking at something by Psychology Today, and they were like, 8 ways to get inspiration, and I'm looking at this other source, 25 ways to get inspiration. It's like it's so different, and but I look at the list, and it's like basically, just doing different activities and whatnot. And I know for me, like I'm like you, I can be walking around, and I might look up at the sky, and I might get some kind of idea, like aha, oh, let's talk about that. Um,
Right. No, seriously, it
yeah,
just pops in your head like that sometimes.
yeah, and those are the best ones sometimes. It's just like boom, oh man, like you get this idea out of random. Because I know how it is with me. I know sometimes I'm out and I get an idea, and I'm like, all right, I gotta like put this in my phone or I gotta write it down somewhere because I want to come back to it and elaborate on that more or add to it or something. Like
You
it's
know what's like the best thing ever?
what's
The
that?
voice recorder in your phone.
I
Use
never
the
used
voice
it.
memo. You have it. Oh my God. It's the best thing ever for like putting like how we're talking about just putting pens and stuff.
Yeah,
You're walking down the street, you don't have a pen and paper. You literally just open up your voice memo and just talk to the freaking recorder and you just spit everything out that's in your head. And then you can go back and you write it all down and you build on it. It's the most amazing thing ever.
I'm gonna have to do that
I'm
because
telling
that's
you, like you don't have a friend like to vent it out to. Sometimes you got to
yeah.
sit down and like, hey, I just need to bounce ideas. Forget all that. Open
Hmm.
up your voice memo. I mean, that's great too. But if we don't always have that luxury of just feeling able to bounce those ideas, open up
Yeah,
your voice memo and just talk to yourself. Like, in the movies and the science movies, the crazy scientists, that's what they do. They're like,
true.
oh, it's June 21st. And I woke up and I had a glass of water and I thought to myself, I'm going to take over the world and I'm going to do it like this. Da, 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 da. And then they do it because they
Yeah,
they recorded that first freaking idea that popped into their head. Like you have to do it. It's
true.
oh my God. It's the
That's
most
very true.
amazing thing ever.
Is it the same thing with you when like you might be out of your physical creative space and you just might be out somewhere hanging out or whatever and something there gives you an idea. You're like, "Oh, snap, like I got it." Like, like you're out not even you might not even be thinking about whatever it is you're working on, but you just happen to be in a spot that it triggers your brain to have an idea and for you to like take that and run with it and use it in whatever it is you're doing. I know that happens with me sometimes. Like I'm trying to just hang out, have a good time, and then while I'm out, I might zone out for a few seconds, and in that time, something out there just sparked an idea or inspired me to want to do this or that or whatever. I
That's why you have to use your voice memo to lock it down because you're not gonna have that pen and paper. You know what I mean? If you're out at
True.
the club, I'm so serious right now. Like I know I sound crazy, like pushing this voice, but like for real, like I told you when me and my homies are hanging out and they play beats
Yeah.
for me, I might not have my notebook with me, or I might not even be like in the right headspace to actually like write something.
Hmm.
But like I'll just start singing whatever melody pops into my head, and I'll go back and I'll add the words later
Oh,
walking
that's
down
got to
the
be
street.
cool.
It's like a puzzle. It's so much fun. Walking down the
Yeah.
street, I might like hear a beat in my head or like a bass line. I'll pull open my voice memo and I'll record it. And then I'll just start like building whatever words, whatever, like I might start beatboxing. I've literally like so many dozens and dozens of just voice memos of just like dumb stuff. Like if somebody were to steal my phone and go through my voice memos, they'd be like, "What the hell is wrong with this chick?" Because it's a bunch of it's a bunch of recordings of me going like, dum, 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 do, 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 do. Like, just like making noises and just like stuff that I hear. And I go back to my producer friends and I was like, yo, I had this idea. It sounded like this. And then I'll just like pull the voice because you're not going to remember, and if you do remember, it's going to be like a watered down version. It's not going to be as
True.
awesome as that first idea that popped in your head. You know what I mean?
Right.
Out with your friends, you're out at a party, you can't wait till you get home to be like, oh my God, I thought of this really dope thing when, the bartender handed me this drink. I'm just gonna wait to write about it when I get home. No, you lock down that fresh ass idea. I'm telling you, man, your instinct is like always the best thing to go with, for real.
That's true.
Like it's the most natural response for a reason.
You
You know,
are you're right about that. I will agree.
bro. You gotta lock it down.
And I get a that's why I love music so much, because I draw a lot of inspiration just listening to songs. I actually like have music that it might just be like instrumentals, but just
Mhm,
something about the vibes that it's giving me,
mhm,
it helps me generate ideas, especially like, I don't know, like synths and all these like electric
mhm,
sounds that are being created by whoever the artist is, like that kind of stuff. And
mhm,
so I can only imagine what it would be like to be a recording artist and having something like that, a melody or a bass line pop into your mind. Like that's got to be the coolest feeling right there. Like I'm just sitting here as you're talking, just kind of imagining like what that would feel like. Cause that's dope. Because especially when you take that and you make a song out of it. Because the closest I got to it was when I created I teamed up with a producer and created an intro or a little track for the SANE Show. And I just remember we're sitting there for like 2 hours and just coming up with stuff. And then like, oh, as you go along during the production, it's like, okay, I got, oh, no, all right, let's do this. Like it was the coolest process. And again, like I know what inspired that was a song by Royce Banyan, and
mhm.
which is like kind of like a electric kind of song. No, well, there are lyrics, but it's more instrumentals than lyrics. A song by Nipsey Hussle. Because I said
Mm.
I had him listen to the two songs, and I said, hey, this is the vibe I'm going for. You feel me? Like I want to have a little subtle vibe, but like something kind of spacey. And then I said I wanted to have like that urban, like little upbeat vibe from that I got from this Nipsey Hussle song. So it was a song off of Victory Lap, and that's how
Okay.
this that's how the SANE Show intro came to be. So for anybody that
But
listens,
that's
and
dope.
yeah, I'm like, this is what I'm like, this is what it must feel like to be a recording artist. They must, it might be similar for. I'm thinking like it might be similar for artists that when they're putting together, they're teaming up with a producer and creating a fresh beat. It's probably a similar process, just sitting there in the lab playing around with different things, trying to find, because you know what you want to feel it. Because having
Mhm.
been a musician, I know all about that. Like you got to feel whatever it is you create. Because I said I always tell people like I want whatever it is. I want this to be representative of me and how I might be feeling at that point in time. And it's the same thing with this podcast. Like I went whatever I come up with, everything has to be not exactly representative of me, but it has to. Not only does it have to flow and make sense, but I have to believe in whatever it is at the end of the
Yeah.
day before I green light it and say, oh, okay, we're gonna talk about this today. That was funny. So I want to go ahead and ask you a few questions just to let the listeners learn a little bit about you, what you got going on, and some of the other things in the works. So my first question to you: how have you grown from Homesick to in that transition to your new project, your album that you're working on?
I'll say the biggest the biggest change from homesick to what I'm doing now is that I'm happy.
Word.
I'm happy. That's probably the biggest factor in all of this is that I'm happy. I was not happy when I was writing homesick.
So in terms of Homesick, Pinky Swear, tell me about that. That's actually my favorite song.
It's the only happy song on the freaking EP. But for real though it is. But Pinky Swear, it's actually it was the first song that I did with Wrist. And Wrist, I did the whole project with him. I did all of Homesick with Wrist. We had met, funny enough, we met like 2 days before we recorded the track at this party. A mutual friend introduced us and was like, hey, you're from North Carolina. He's from North Carolina. Y'all both make music. Come on, let's make something awesome happen. And so the next day he sent me the music for that, And like a couple hours later, I sent him, I sent him this video recording of me singing the song. I was like, "This is what I have so far." It was like a video that I did from my laptop, and then I came over the day after that and recorded the track. And he started playing me some beats, and I was like, "Yo, you're really dope. Let's work on some more stuff." And we ended up doing a whole track together. Did we did 9. I want to say we recorded 9 or 10 tracks, but only put 6 on the EP. But yeah, it was a dope experience.
Okay, cool. So, in terms of your album, I know you say you're
Hmm.
not sad anymore, which I'm happy
Hmm.
to hear.
Thanks.
What caused the shift, I guess? Like what helped you?
Having a good group of people around me. I mean, they were the same group of people around me when I wrote Homesick, but just maintaining, those friendships and
Yeah.
strengthening those relationships and, learning to love myself and, accepting that I'm worthy of being treated well and with respect and,
That's
that
good.
I'm a queen and all of that. And it just, I don't know, I feel good and I want to make music that reflects that.
I'm all for that. Well, the listeners don't know, and I did my best to keep it from them, and I'm glad I did because I've been wanting to tell them. So we're actually doing something different on the same show this time. Jasmine actually has I'm going to call it a gift and surprise. I'm going to
Mhm.
let you guys, or she's going to let you guys hear her single off of her new album. It's called "Do It." So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to play that. Let you guys get the first listen on the same show.
Let's do it.
Why don't you do it, baby? Back up all that shit you've been talking. Come on and prove it, baby. You say you're the man that'll make me go crazy. Paint my toes, shave my legs, get dolled up, brush my hair, do the things to make you think I still give a damn. Call my friends, turn up, then swerve you. We choosing, baby. Hear me when I say don't wait up. Yeah, we done been through some things, but not enough to live a lie. I admit that I loved you, but nigga, you ain't even tried. Ain't that how it goes? Someone always ends up losing. I ain't second to no one. Why don't you do it, baby? Back up all that shit you've been talking. Come on and prove it, baby. You say you're the man that'll make me go crazy. I'ma switch it up, just like you full of it. I'ma call you Mr. Number 2, I'm sick of it. Too blessed out here like I chew, out here without you, doing what I do. Just me and my crew, niggas hoping to get choose. My skin butter smooth, they like how we groove. We so meticulous, we got this shit down to a science. It's so ridiculous that this is how I cope with you lying. Twerking and grinding, niggas is iron. My bitch is all bad and we ain't tripping off the bottles we buying. We the flyers, touch of might, it's golden pussy, no lying. I ain't here for all the talking, all that reaching and trying. So go on and shoot your shot, you miss what you don't take. You could lose your spot for no man, well I wait. Cause they fancy this, they wanna handle this. I'm bullshitting, you know I'm going back home to my nigga. Damn skipper. Paint my toes, shave my legs, get dolled up, brush my hair, do the things to make you think I still give a damn. Call my friends, turn up, then swerve you. We choosing, baby. Why don't you do it, baby? Back up all that shit you've been talking.
that was a dope track. I know I listened to it before the recording, and a lot of stuff came to mind. Earlier on we were talking about Lauryn Hill, and I was definitely getting some Lauryn Hill vibes,
Mhm.
and love the production. I got '90s vibes from it too. Definitely hip hop, and like you said, it's different. It makes me happy when artists do something different, especially when I feel like it worked out well on this track. And so I thought it was pretty dope. Especially like how it starts, and because when I first heard it, I was like, okay, I knew it was going to be different just based on the opening beat,
Mhm.
and get into the song. I'm like, okay. And I'm even envisioning like one of those '90s style music videos to go along with it, and and so I'm just loving it all around, the background
Thank
vocals,
you.
and the harmonizing, and even from you going from vocals to rapping, and I'm like, yo, okay, that was dope, like that was smooth. So that's
Thanks,
what
thanks.
was giving me the Lauryn Hill vibes. Yeah, definitely. And so yeah, and then even the closing of the song, like with the same, just how it opened, it closed out. So I thought that was pretty dope. It to me, like it's like one of those things where you unwrap it and then you close it back up. So it's like you took
Thank
it out the box,
you.
and now we're done. Put it back in the box, close it up. That's it. So I thought it was dope. So what what inspired that song?
Well, okay, so like it's one of those instances where, I was dealing with some things and
Hmm.
I wasn't ready to process it and I decided to put a pin on it, right? Put a pin on it and, hanging out with some of my friends, we're up in the studio and we're just kind of kicking it and we're like, "Hey, let's make a beat." So we all just start like messing around with the boards and coming up with ideas for sounds and stuff. They start getting carried away with that, and I just start writing, and I start getting into my feelings for a little bit, and
Yeah.
it's really like I'll say I got a lot of my inspiration from Freakum Dress,
Okay.
from Freakum Dress. It's like your man acting up. You're gonna go out with your girls. You're gonna look good. You're gonna have a good time. You're gonna feel
Hmm.
good. You're gonna get a little bit of attention from some people that you don't know, and then you're gonna go home to your
Yeah.
man
Yeah.
and, and go back and be in love again. But all the while, you telling your man, while I'm gone, you need to think this stuff over because this isn't gonna work for me. Feeling like this is not gonna work. So I'm gonna go out and I'm gonna have a good time, and you're gonna sit here and you're gonna think about you're gonna think about what you've done or what you haven't done. You know, and
you
when I
know,
come back, we'll get that together.
listening to that, I got that vibe like, all right, she getting bucked. Like, like, yo, it's about to go down.
Yeah, I'm
Like,
calling you out. It's
right.
literally it's not me leaving and coming home and just pretending it's cool. Like
Yeah.
I'm calling you out, and then I'm gonna leave and have a good
Yeah.
time, and then come back
Yeah.
and give you a real opportunity to think about this.
Yeah.
Like you're gonna see how good I look as I walk out this door, but you still here.
Yeah. That's
And you know what I mean? It's
y-
just like, come on, you got to step up. That's really all it is. You got to step up.
yeah.
And then
You
it's for the ladies to let them know like it's nothing wrong for telling these dudes like, yo, gotta step up or I'm going to leave you.
yeah. You
Like,
you own you own that track for sure. I will say
thank you,
that. And
thank you.
for me, it's kind of a two. It, when you have a simple production like that, it can be a double-edged sword at times because it can work for you or it can work against you. And there are some artists whom I won't name for the sake of not having to get into a debate, but
Right.
their productions are simple, but the lyrics to me just don't, or the flow just doesn't stand up strong enough to, I guess,
They're letting
overshadow
they're
the
letting the
production.
music carry them, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. Where with this song, I felt like your lyrics and the flow did just that, and it was great content as well. So I mean, I was like, it's simple, the production is simple, but at the end of the day, I mean, that's not what you're listening for anyway. So when the lyrics can carry the song, the flow can carry the song, I was satisfied, and I'll definitely be listening to that when we're done with this. I can yeah, it was great. I enjoyed it. I appreciate you taking and allowing the SANE Show listeners to get a sneak peek of that. So I can only be, or I can only imagine what's going to come on the album. So appreciate you again letting us hear
Thank
that on the
you.
SANE Show.
Yeah, I'm
So
excited for the album.
yeah, we all are. I know I know you kind of mentioned these your friends again, but I guess like specifically, who are some of the people that have been helping you along the way, more so musically?
I mean, really, I'm one of those weird people that I can only be friends with people that I work with. No,
Understood.
uh, no. But most of my friends, I do work with them. I mean, that's kind of how
Hmm.
it happens as an adult when you live somewhere that you didn't
Yeah.
grow up. you know.
Hmm.
So, I hang out with a lot of artists. I hang out with a lot of producers. I hang out with a lot of promoters and curators and photographers and just creatives of all sorts.
Hmm.
And most of us are transplants. A lot of us aren't from LA. There are a couple that are, but most of the people I hang out with, they're not from LA. So we're all from out of town. We've come to this big place. I've been lucky enough to come across a good amount of people where they all have, good intentions, and we're all hard workers, and, good musicians and photographers, and we're just out here grinding together. And with that, we all have our insecurities and, our things that we have to deal with. And on top of the musical stuff, we take care of each other personally, and we're each other's chosen family. And a lot of me writing Homesick was because I felt like I was far away from my family, and so I had to create one out here.
Yeah, I
You
understand
gotta
that.
you can't do it by yourself. So
Right.
it's yeah, they help me musically, but it's my personal life too. It all goes together hand in hand.
Good stuff.
Just got a good group of people around me.
What's next
Shit.
for Jasmine Safina on top of your upcoming album? What else is in the works for you?
Um, so I've dropped this track, Do It. I'm working on a couple of visuals for the next couple of tracks that I'm gonna drop. And then hopefully we'll have the album ready to present for you
Okay.
guys.
Word.
It's
Well,
really,
definitely.
I mean,
Yeah.
for the album's done. You know, it's pretty much done. Of course, there are like some tweaks and things, but it's like I don't know. I mean, I could always drop 12 tracks with no budget behind me, or I could, drop one or two and work and find that money, you know,
Right.
and be able to drop it to a wider range of people, be able to do even more with my music. I'm working on this whole patience thing.
You and I both.
You know,
I was.
so I really want to drop all of this music, but I'm just like, just gonna wait, just gonna wait, just gonna
Hmm.
wait. It's
Well,
been tough.
yeah, definitely. Keep me posted with the release date. Now, definitely, share with everybody that follows the same show,
Yeah, yeah,
so that they can stay on top of it and everything.
yeah. The album, when I know a date, you will know a date.
Great, great. I'll be looking for that. So, you got any social media or any
Of
pages
course,
where the listeners can take and follow you and check out your music?
absolutely. The best way to keep up with me and my music, follow me on Instagram, Jazmen Safina. It's JazmenSafina. I'm also on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. But the best way to keep up with my music is Instagram. Twitter, I just talk shit, and Facebook, I just use that so my family knows that I'm alive. So Instagram, for sure, for sure.
Word. So you guys heard her. Make sure you go follow her, check her out, and stay on top of her music. She's really dope. And again, you heard Do It. So make sure also to go listen to Homesick and listen to the Green Tea track. You can find what on iTunes, Apple Music,
iTunes,
Spotify.
Spotify,
Yeah,
Tidal,
Title. Oh, you
Amazon,
on Title big time. Okay.
YouTube. I'm working on getting that Pandora One slot so we can start having some Jasmine Safina radios out here.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
down for that.
I'm really curious to see like once, I'm not there yet. I guess you have to have a certain number of streams. I'm not that type of popping yet, but I'm really looking forward to seeing like when I do reach that level of popping, what other
Hmm.
artists are on my radio. Like who's gonna like set like on my Spotify artist profile, like sounds like what
Right.
artists are gonna be in that little box.
Right.
I mean, I really don't care, but like I'm
Yeah.
just curious. Like I
Nothing wrong
just
with that.
wonder when people hear me who they put me beside. Because I know who I put myself beside, but I wonder what everybody else hears when they hear me.
Cool
But
deal. Well, I would ask you that, but we'll have that conversation another time as far as who you put yourself
okay,
beside. Oh, we'll I'll have to have you back on the same show in the future,
sure.
definitely. So I do appreciate you taking time out of your schedule to come on the same show. It's definitely fun talking to you. You're a dope artist. Keep supplying that dope music. I tell all my artists,
Thank
people
you.
that so yeah, keep supplying that dope music. And thank you again for letting us have a listen of Do It. Again, everybody, it is
Make
now.
sure you stream it.
Yes, it's
Stream
now
it.
streaming. Download it. Listen. Again, it's available on pretty much every streaming platform. So if whatever you listen to music on is on there, so go download it. Do It by Jazmen Safina. So
Yeah.
yeah. But thank you again, Jasmine. I definitely want to have you back on in the future. This is Same Show episode 34, show about nothing and everything. And until next time, thank everybody for listening and continue to show your support for the Same Show. So until next time, we're out.
Yeah.